My brother slept with my girlfriend to humiliate me because I was doing well in life. Then, 6 months later, he had the nerve to ask me for money, and I told him no. I never imagined I'd be sharing my life story on Reddit, but here I am. I'm 26 years old, and my life has taken some unexpected twists recently, and I need to get this off my chest. For the past year, my professional life has been going great. I'm a freelance graphic designer, and I've been landing some high-paying gigs, even setting up my own design studio with 23 employees. My parents couldn't be prouder, especially considering how much I struggled growing up. I was always the black sheep in the family. My older brother, Ari, 30, and my younger sister, Becca, 24, were the stars. Ari wasn't exceptional in school, but he was athletic, charismatic, and popular. Becca was the genius, always bringing home straight A's. And me? I was terrible at school, awkward around people, and the only thing I was good at was art. Ari never let me forget how much of a failure he thought I was. He'd constantly tease me, saying things like, "Hey loser, still can't figure out basic math?" Or, "I bet you'll be living in mom and dad's basement forever." When I worked up the courage to ask a girl to a high school dance, Ari overheard and laughed in my face. He told everyone at school that his pathetic little brother actually thought he had a chance with a girl. I was so embarrassed I skipped school for a week. At a family barbecue, I was excited to show everyone a painting I had been working on for weeks. Ari took one look at it and said, "Wow, did a kindergartner paint that?" Everyone laughed, and I felt my face burn with shame. I went to my room and didn't come out for the rest of the day. Our parents tried to be supportive, but I could tell they were disappointed in me. They'd praise Ari for getting C's and Becca for her perfect grades, then awkwardly change the subject when it came to my report. Family gatherings were the worst. Relatives would fawn over my siblings' accomplishments while giving me pitying looks. I'd overhear comments like, "Poor thing, he's just not as bright as the other two, is he?" Despite all that, I knew I had talent in art and design, so I pursued a career in graphic design, even though my family thought it was a waste of time. The first few years were tough. I worked part-time jobs to make ends meet while trying to build a portfolio. Ari would make snide comments about how I should get a real job and stop playing around with crayons. I remember one particularly bad fight we had about it. I had just finished a logo design for a local business, and I was proud of my work. When I showed it to my family, Ari scoffed and said, "That's it? That's what you wasted 4 years of college on? I could do that in 5 minutes with Microsoft Paint." His words stung, but I tried not to let it show. Things started to turn around when I met Alice in college. She noticed me sketching between classes and asked if I could draw her portrait. I was nervous, but I agreed. When I showed her the finished drawing, her eyes lit up and she said it was the best portrait anyone had ever done of her. We started hanging out more and eventually began dating. Alice believed in me when no one else did. With her support, I began picking up small freelance jobs, and slowly but surely, my skills improved and my client base grew. When I introduced Alice to my family, Ari couldn't resist taking a dig at me. He pulled her aside and said, "How did a nerd like him land a hottie like you? You must have lost a bet or something." Alice just rolled her eyes and told him to grow up. I was grateful for her defense. Part of me wondered the same thing. How did someone like me end up with someone like her? The past year has been amazing. My business took off, and suddenly I was the successful one in the family. My parents started bragging about me to their friends. Even Ari seemed impressed, though he tried not to show it. I remember the first time I showed up to a family dinner in my new car. The look on Ari's face was priceless. For once, he didn't have anything snarky to say. I thought everything was perfect. Alice and I had been together for years, and I was planning to propose soon. She spent a lot of time at my family's house, and I was touched that she made an effort to bond with them. She and Becca became particularly close, often going shopping or getting coffee together. I was happy that Alice was becoming part of the family. Then last week, my whole world came crashing down. I got a video message from Ari. When I opened it, I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a recording of him and Alice being intimate. I felt like I was going to throw up. My hands were shaking so badly, I almost dropped my phone in shock. I called Alice right away, hoping there was some explanation. Maybe it was an old video from before we met. Maybe it was some sick joke. Instead, she just laughed. She told me that Ari was twice the man I'd ever be. When I asked how long it had been going on, she said it started not long after she met my family. Apparently, she'd been sleeping with Ari for years, right under my nose. I broke up with her on the spot. Her parting words were, "You were never man enough for me anyway. I needed a real man like Ari." I'm devastated. The woman I thought I'd spend my life with betrayed me in the worst way possible. And my own brother? I knew Ari and I had our issues, but I never thought he'd do something like this. Feels like my entire life has been a lie. I don't know what to do now. My business is doing great. My personal life is in shambles. How do I face my family knowing what Ari did? How do I trust anyone again after what Alice did? I feel lost and alone, like that awkward failure of a kid all over again. Every time my phone rings, I feel a surge of anxiety. Part of me hopes it's Alice calling to say it was all a mistake, but I know that's just wishful thinking. I can't eat, can't sleep. I've been throwing myself into work, staying at the office until late at night just to avoid going home to an empty apartment. I haven't told my parents or Becca what happened yet. I'm not sure how to even begin that conversation. Will they even believe me, or will they think I'm making it up out of jealousy? Update 1. It's been a month since I found out about Alice's betrayal with my brother Ari. I want to thank everyone who commented on my original post. Your support and advice have been a lifeline during this nightmare. I've been doing a lot of reflecting on my relationship with Alice and how we got to this point. We met in college about 5 years ago. I was sitting in the quad, sketching between classes, when she approached me. She said she'd been watching me draw for a while and was impressed. Alice asked if I could draw her portrait, and even though I was nervous, I agreed. I remember how focused I was while drawing her. Alice had these striking green eyes and a mischievous smile that I wanted to capture perfectly. My hands were shaking a little, but I managed to steady them. When I finished and showed her the portrait, her face lit up. She said it was the best anyone had ever drawn her. That moment sparked our friendship. We started hanging out more after that. Alice would come to my dorm room to watch me work on art projects. She'd bring me coffee during late-night study sessions. I remember feeling so nervous around her at first, always worried I'd say something stupid or embarrass myself. But she had a way of putting me at ease. Gradually, our friendship turned into something more. Our first kiss happened after a late-night study session. We were both exhausted, punchy from too much caffeine. I made some lame joke, and she laughed. Then she leaned in and kissed me. I was so surprised I nearly fell off my chair. Some of my happiest memories are with Alice. I remember our first real date. We went to an art museum and spent hours discussing the exhibits. Alice always encouraged my passion for art and design. When I doubted myself, she'd remind me of my talent and push me to keep going. She'd say things like, "You're going to be famous one day, and I'll get to say I knew you when..." Another great memory was our weekend trip to the beach. We rented a small cabin and spent our days exploring tide pools and our nights stargazing on the sand. It was during that trip that I first thought I might want to marry her someday. We were lying on the beach and Alice was pointing out constellations. I remember looking at her illuminated by moonlight and thinking I wanted to spend the rest of my life with her. When I introduced Alice to my family, I was nervous. My family had always made me feel inadequate, and I worried they'd somehow scare Alice away, but she fit in perfectly. My parents loved her, and Becca practically adopted her as a sister. The only person who seemed less than thrilled was Ari. He'd make little comments about how lucky I was to land someone like Alice, but I didn't think much of it at the time. I can't stop replaying every conversation and interaction in my mind. I'm starting to question everything. Was Alice ever really in love with me? Did she ever mean the things she said, or was she just biding her time until she could trade up? And why would she choose Ari, of all people? My self-esteem has taken a nosedive. I always knew I wasn't as charismatic or successful as Ari, but I thought I had other qualities that made me worthy of love. Now, I feel like I was just a placeholder until someone better came along. Work has been my saving grace. I've been taking on as many projects as possible to keep my mind occupied. My employees have noticed a change in me, but they're too polite to ask what's wrong. They just assume I'm going through a rough patch. They don't know that every day is a struggle just to get out of bed. I still haven't told my parents or Becca what happened. I don't know how to face them. My parents have always been so proud of Ari. What will they say when they find out what he did? Will they even believe me? I'm terrified of losing the little bit of family support I have left. As for Ari, he hasn't contacted me since that video. Part of me wants to confront him, to demand answers, but another part of me is too scared of what he might say. What if he tells me Alice was just using me, that I was never good enough for, that I was just a stepping stone to him? I'm not sure I could handle that. I know I need to move on, but I don't know where to start. How do you pick up the pieces after your whole world shatters? How do you trust anyone again when the person you thought you'd spend your life with betrays you in the worst way possible? I'm still trying to figure that out. My wife left me and our daughter for a wealthy man, but 6 years later, karma caught up with her. Now she's reaching out, homeless and hoping to return to us. I'm Ian Mitchell, a 32-year-old graphic designer whose life revolves around my 6-year-old daughter, Lily. Since Jane, my wife, left us 3 years ago, I've been devoted to creating a stable and loving environment for Lily. Our days are built around a routine that provides comfort and consistency amidst the challenges of single parenthood. Every morning, my day begins before dawn. I rise early to prepare a hearty breakfast of blueberry pancakes shaped like stars, tradition that Lily adores. The kitchen becomes our haven of warmth and laughter as we discuss our plans for the day. After breakfast, we head to the nearby park. Lily swings high into the sky while I sit on a bench, catching up on work emails and enjoying the early morning tranquility. When school begins, I drop Lily off with a kiss and a hug. Her school is just a short drive away, nestled in a quiet part of town. The drop-off routine is always filled with assurances that she'll have a great day, and she waves goodbye with a smile. With Lily at school, I retreat to my home office, cozy, cluttered space where creativity meets chaos. My desk is littered with design sketches, client notes, and half-empty coffee mug. The flexibility of freelancing allows me to manage my time effectively, ensuring that I can pick Lily up from school and be present for her in the evenings. Our afternoons are a cherished time for bonding. We bake cookies together, engage in craft projects, or simply curl up with a good book. As the sun sets, we indulge in our special Monday night tradition, pancake dinners with various toppings and a movie marathon. Fridays are reserved for special movie nights with buttery popcorn and Lily's favorite films. Weekends are dedicated to adventures, visits to nearby parks, hiking trails, and spontaneous trips to the zoo. Our routine might seem mundane to outsiders, but for us, it's a sanctuary. The consistency and love we've built around these rituals have created a bubble of stability that shields us from life's uncertainties. Lily's teacher is supportive, and my sister Claire often visits, adding another layer of warmth to our home. We've turned our situation into a source of strength and happiness, and I'm deeply proud of how we've managed this journey together. Yesterday, as I was deep into designing a new logo for a local startup, my phone rang with an unfamiliar number. It was Jane, my ex-wife. Her voice was tentative, almost hesitant, and laced with desperation. She explained that her life had taken a dramatic turn for the worse and that she was now homeless. Jane requested a meeting, expressing a deep desire to reconnect with Lily and me. The call was a jolt. Jane had left us abruptly 3 years ago, leaving me to shoulder the weight of parenting alone. Her sudden reappearance was both unsettling and bewildering. She recounted a series of unfortunate events that had led her to this point: toxic relationship, financial ruin, and personal disillusionment. Jane's plea for forgiveness and her hope to make amends seemed sincere, but they stirred up a whirlwind of emotions within me. I agreed to meet her, but I approached the situation with caution. The prospect of Jane re-entering our lives was fraught with complexity. Her return could potentially disrupt the stability we had fought so hard to achieve. I needed to carefully consider how to navigate this situation, balancing compassion with the need to protect our established routine. As I prepared for the meeting with Jane, My mind was filled with reflections on our past. Jane and I had once shared dreams of a stable family life, but those dreams unraveled when Jane became involved with Alex, a wealthy businessman. His influence drew her away from us, and the allure of an opulent lifestyle led her to abandon our family. Jane's departure was sudden and left a significant void in our lives. I had thrown myself into work and parenting, determined to create a stable environment. Lily, the absence of Jane was a challenge we managed to overcome with resilience and love. Our daily routine became a source of normalcy, and Lily's happiness became my primary focus. Jane's sudden return brought back memories of the pain and confusion caused by her departure. I grappled with conflicting emotions, sympathy for her current plight and concern for the potential impact on Lily. The choice before me was difficult. Should I allow Jane to re-enter our lives, or should I maintain the stability we had achieved? We arranged to meet at a quiet cafe on the outskirts of town, chosen for its neutral atmosphere. As I approached the cafe, a mix of anxiety and apprehension settled over me. I was uncertain of how the meeting would unfold. Jane arrived looking older and more worn than I remembered. Her once vibrant demeanor had faded, replaced by an aura of defeat. We exchanged pleasantries and settled into a booth. Jane began recounting her life since leaving us. Her story was a turbulent mix of highs and lows. She spoke of the initial excitement of her relationship with Alex, luxurious vacations, glamorous parties, and a life of opulence. However, this excitement quickly gave way to a darker reality. Alex's charm turned into control, and their relationship became increasingly toxic. Jane described the emotional abuse she endured, the isolation she felt, and the eventual betrayal when Alex abandoned her for someone else. Her tale was filled with regret and sorrow. Jane expressed deep remorse for leaving Lily and me, acknowledging the pain her actions had caused. She was reaching out with a sincere desire to reconnect and make amends. Despite her past mistakes, she seemed genuinely committed to repairing the damage. Jane's return presented a complex dilemma. The stability that Lily and I had worked so hard to achieve could be jeopardized by her presence. I considered several options, allowing Jane to stay temporarily while she got back on her feet, providing financial assistance for her to find a place, or facilitating supervised visits to reintroduce her into Lily's life. Each option had its own set of advantages and potential pitfall. Allowing Jane to stay temporarily could offer her a fresh start, but might also disrupt our established routine. Financial assistance could help her secure housing and employment without directly impacting our daily lives. Supervised visits could provide a controlled environment for Lily to reconnect with her mother, but the emotional impact on Lily and the risk of Jane's instability reappearing were significant concerns. I needed to weigh the potential benefits against the risks. My primary concern was ensuring Lily's well-being and preserving the stability we had achieved. After much reflection and consultation with trusted friends and family, I made the difficult decision that allowing Jane to return to our daily lives was not the right choice. Potential disruption to Lily's stability and emotional well-being outweighed the benefit. I informed Jane of my decision, explaining that while I was willing to help her in other ways, such as providing financial support and job resources, I could not allow her to move back in or alter our established routine. Jane was understandably disappointed but accepted my decision with grace. She acknowledged my concerns and expressed gratitude for the support I was willing to provide. I assured her that my offer of assistance was genuine and hoped she could rebuild her life independently. It was a tough decision, but one I felt was necessary to protect Lily's sense of security. Once the decision was made, I knew I had to be honest with Lily. I chose a quiet evening after dinner to explain the situation. We sat together on the couch, and I gently told her that I had met her mom, but that it wasn't the right time for her to come back into our lives. I reassured Lily that it wasn't her fault, and that we would continue to be a happy family together. I made sure to communicate in a way that was age-appropriate, using simple language and focusing on the positive aspects of our life. To support Lily through this transition, I arranged for sessions with a family therapist. I wanted her to have a safe space to express her feelings and understand that our family was strong and united despite the changes. The therapist's guidance helped us both navigate the emotional aftermath of Jane's reappearance, provided Lily with tools to manage her emotions, and reinforced the bond between us. Our sessions became a valuable part of our routine, offering support and fostering open communication. In the weeks following my decision, Lily and I focused on reinforcing the positive environment we had built. We continued our cherished routines and sought out new activities to enrich our lives. I organized more family outings, including visits to new parks, nature trails, and cultural events. We also explored new hobbies together, such as painting and gardening, which added depth and joy to our days. Our weekends became a time for exploring new adventures. We visited local museums, attended community events, and even started a small vegetable garden in our backyard. These activities not only strengthened our bond, but also helped us create new memories. I also began to focus on my own personal growth. I took up yoga classes and started reading more extensively. These changes helped me manage stress and maintain a balanced perspective. Lily noticed the positive changes in me and responded with enthusiasm, joining me in exploring new hobbies and activities. Despite the challenges we faced, our home remained a sanctuary of love and stability. The routines we had established continued to provide comfort, and our resilience became a source of strength. Lily's happiness was my top priority, and I remained dedicated to ensuring that she felt secure and loved. As time went on, Lily and I embraced the changes in our lives. Jane's reappearance had been a test, but it ultimately strengthened our family's resolve and commitment to each other. We focused on the future, building on the positive aspects of our lives, and looking forward to new opportunities. Lily's school performance continued to improve, and she excelled in her extracurricular activities. I watched with pride as she grew into a confident and compassionate young girl. Our family continued to grow closer, finding joy in the simple moments and celebrating each milestone together. We also found new ways to contribute to our community. We volunteered at local shelters and participated in charity events, which added a sense of purpose to our lives. These experiences reinforced our values of kindness and empathy and helped us connect with others who shared our commitment to making a difference. Our journey, marked by challenges and triumphs, continued to unfold. Lily and I faced each new day with hope and resilience. While the past had its shadows, our focus was on the present and the future. The love we shared and the lessons learned from our experiences were our guiding light. As time went on, Lily and I found new ways to enrich our lives. We engaged in community activities, explored new hobbies, and built new traditions that added depth and joy to our days. Our story was one of growth, love, and unwavering commitment to each other. It was a testament to the power of resilience, hope, and the strength of the bond we had built. Our future was bright, but we faced it with a sense of anticipation and optimism. The challenges we had overcome had only made us stronger, and we were ready to embrace whatever came our way. Our story was one of triumph over adversity, and we continued to write it with love, hope, and unwavering determination.